Right, we're going to cover how to take a series of bracketed images and merge them to a 32-bit HDR document in Photo. So first of all, I want to go to File, New HDR Merge. And from the dialog here, I want to click Add. And you'll want to navigate to where the bracketed images are. We simply select them all and choose Open. And notice we have a few options down here. Automatically align images is great if you shot these images handheld. And then we also have automatically remove ghosts, which we will cover in a specific ghost removal video. And we've also got Tone Map HDR Image. Now this is checked by default, which we'll leave on for this particular case. So we can click OK. And what Tone Map HDR Image means is once the HDR merge has completed, it will take you straight into the tone mapping persona up here. Okay, so as I just mentioned previously, because we had Tone Map HDR Image checked, we've been taken straight to the Tone Map persona, where we have a number of tone map related adjustments. The two chief ones being tone compression and local contrast. Now, tone compression is fairly self-explanatory. It controls how many of the out-of-range tones are brought in range. And then we have local contrast, which, by and large, is responsible for that kind of look that you associate with a lot of HDR imagery. We're dramatically increasing the contrast between neighboring pixels, and it ends up looking a lot like a clarity filter on steroids. So, as well as a number of adjustments that we can use to fine-tune our tone-mapped image, we also have a number of presets, like so. So we just apply these simply by clicking them. Natural gets us back to the default values that we start with when we first enter the tone map persona. And of course, you can import and export tone map presets as well. So I'm going to go ahead and try and achieve a fairly tasteful tone mapped HDR look. So I'll bring the local contrast up to about 40%. I'll use the shadows and highlights adjustment just to take the edge off the highlights, as we can see in the glass panes here. And then a neat little trick I like to do is to lower the black point and then apply a curves adjustment and bring those tones down. Just add a node here to add some highlight punch. And I'll just knock the edge off the saturation as well. Okay, so let's say for argument's sake, I'm fairly happy with that result. I can then go ahead and click Apply, and the tone map is applied, and we're brought back to the default photo persona. So then, just a side note as well, that we can open Radiance HDR and OpenEXR 32-bit documents. So I've got an old image here that I previously HDR merged and saved as an OpenEXR document. I can simply open that, and yes, by default, the image is not very palatable, but we can enter the tone mapping persona. And being a 32-bit document, there's lots of information currently out of range that will bring in range using tone mapping. Okay, so there's our default look, as you can see, dramatically improved. I'll add some local contrast, perhaps not too much, mind. Reduce the highlights a tad. Lower the black point as before, and then I'll use curves to go for a very low-key, moody, tone-mapped image. So then once again I can click Apply, and there we go. Now then, a final word of note. If we want to export and share our HDR images, typically, say we're exporting to JPEG or PNG or any number of 8-bit or 16-bit formats, we need to convert from 32-bit first. Now, this is typically already taken care of by the export process, but we can also do it manually to make sure that there aren't going to be any dramatic differences. So under Document, we can go to Color Format, and let's say we want to export as a JPEG for web delivery. We just convert it to RGB 8-bit. And there we go, so there were no real striking visual differences. That's great. So we can then just go ahead via the usual File, Export, and choose whichever format we want. Also note that if we want to stay in 32-bit precision, we can also export as OpenEXR or Radiance HDR. So there we go, just a quick overview on Photo's HDR Merge feature. Hope that was useful to you. If you have any questions or queries, please do ask on the Affinity forums, and don't forget to check out the other video tutorials. Thank you for watching.